Introduction. Sometimes it is the people no one can imagine anything of who do things no one can imagine. Alan Turing. In the last 50 years, life has been simplified by the awe-inspiring advancements that have been achieved in the world of computer science and technology. In 1976, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak unveiled the Apple I, the first-ever computer that operated on a single circuit board, just 5 years after a team of IBM engineers introduced the floppy disk, which revolutionized data sharing. In 1981, the first personal computer made by IBM, the Acorn, which was equipped with an optional color monitor, 2 floppy disks, and an Intel chip, was rolled out to the masses, and the dynamic evolution of the World Wide Web soon followed. Today, the world is in the midst of the transformative and ever-developing digital age, otherwise referred to as the Age of Information. It has been an unprecedented, remarkable, and explosive era marked by social media and computer-generated imagery, and with it, deep fakes, among other novel, previously unimaginable concepts. The bulky monitors and blocky towers of personal computers and laptops, which were once upon a time considered fashionable, futuristic contraptions, have since been replaced with a sleek and stylish array, both multifunctional and specialized, of aerodynamic, minimalistic devices, ranging from smartphones and tablets to lightweight laptops and full-fledged gaming setups packed with powerhouse processors. While many are familiar with those facts, and a recent movie revived interest in Alan Turing's achievements with computing during World War II, it was Charles Babbage who was the first to conceive the notion of a programmable and automatic universal computer, which, on top of its ability to calculate any mathematical equation at an unmatched speed, could also be used for a seemingly infinite number of other applications. In other words, he envisioned the precursor to the modern computer. At first blush, Babbage hardly seemed the type, because in many ways he was the antithesis of the debonair, silver-tongued, and effortlessly charismatic chief executive officers of present-day tech giants. Babbage was a quirky individual, to say the least. He was highly observant, but was in the same breath a habitual daydreamer, often caught in a trance of deep thought. He spoke with a stutter, cared little about his appearance, often sported stained collars and rumpled coats, and in his later years became something of an agoraphobe, developing a disdain for crowds and music. Indeed, his unquenchable thirst for knowledge and his brilliant mind were unparalleled, but this was paired with his restless, addictive, and extreme nature, as well as his obsession with precision and factual accuracy. This was the same man who once reached out to celebrated poet Alfred Tennyson and requested the wordsmith to correct the wording of his poem, The Vision of Sin. His letter to England's legendary poet read, "In your otherwise beautiful poem, one verse reads, 'Every moment dies a man, every moment one is born.' If this were true, the population of the world would be at a standstill. In truth, the rate of birth is slightly in excess of that of death. I would suggest that the next version should read, 'Every moment dies a man, every moment 1 1/16 is born.'" Of course, it is precisely the eccentricity of his character and the unconventionality of his ideas and beliefs that made his life and career all the more riveting. In 1930, the West was still freshly reeling from the cataclysmic stock market crash the previous October, and British Prime Minister Ramsay MacDonald was struggling himself to prevail over a reality that is as irremediable as it is inextricable, preserving the gold standard and providing adequate aid to the poor and unemployed, the latter of which there were reportedly 2 million of by year's end. The situation in the United Kingdom is comparably dim, for not only had the British also been affected by the crash, they had yet to recover from the lasting wounds of the First World War. It would not be uncommon to see a mob of fuming men posted outside a labor exchange or the so-called instructional centers introduced by Prime Minister MacDonald. These men were armed not with guns, but with placards the length of their torsos. "Release us from hunger," one placard screamed in bold letters. "We demand winter relief," read another. In another part of town, a number of impoverished families awaited their measly share of gruel, provided to them by a makeshift soup kitchen. The scenes became even more depressing following the setting of the sun,